let's get to this Draymond Green thing. So I talked about this already. The Jason Tatum and Steve Kerr saga, or the drama with Tatum getting benched in Game 1 of the Olympics, and Steve Kerr giving like the worst excuse why he benched him. And what I thought was interesting is that Draymond Green, who's under contract with the Warriors, who Kerr is still his coach, thought it was a good idea for him to come out there and kind of scold Steve Kerr for his decision. I'm gonna play what he said, and I'm gonna come back.
No one's looking at the minutes like, oh, this guy played less. Like I said to JT, no, when you win a gold medal, no one cares who scored the points. No one cares who played the minute. Did you win a gold medal or did you not? That's what it boils down to. Did you win a gold medal? Did you not? However, you don't not play Jason Tatum. That man just won NBA championship, cover of NBA 2K, cover of Sports Illustrated saying cheers. Just signed the biggest contract in NBA history. Oh, and by the way, your reward is sit down and don't play in the first Olympic game. Now, if you watched the exhibition games, JT didn't play well in the exhibition game. I don't care. Like, it actually doesn't matter. And so I was a little taken back by that. Like, in 2021, our team, our offense was built around Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant. And it was almost kind of set up as though, like, KD was passing the torch to JT, and then JT come out and not play. I couldn't believe that. But in not playing him, it was wrong. We all know it was wrong. He should play. He didn't, but he should have played. So it was wrong, and we know that. What I don't like about it is now to me it feels like a cover in my tracks, like proving a point type thing to where like, oh, now Joel's out of the lineup. But it's part, we got to not play someone. And quite frankly, I don't like it. Like, come up with a rotation and stick with it. These teams aren't good enough to where we're trying to match their lineup. We got to match our lineup. Like, we're not matching their lineup, by the way, because we got the best players in the world. We're going to match their lineup anyway. With whoever we got on the court, we'll be fine. So the whole, like, match their lineup or, you know, this guy out of the lineup, no, I disagree with it. Just lock the lineups in. The whole switching this guy out, now this guy ain't going to play this game, that guy, like, what we doing? So I totally disagree with that. And as I said, just from the outside looking in, it just comes off as like we made a mistake as a coaching staff, as opposed to just the mistake that we made, this is what it is, and moving on.
So he said a whole bunch, right? So first of all, Draymond Green, he about to get traded. Like, and he might know it. You know what I mean? He just breaking stuff on his way out. You know what I mean? He might know he up out of there, right? They really don't have no more use for him. Draymond Green has literally destroyed the rebuild that the Warriors and Bob Myers had in place. I think that's part of why Bob Myers decided not to re-sign with the team. I think that he had a rebuild in place that was going to probably not even a rebuild or a retool around Steph. I think he looked at it because I looked at it. I look at the contract that Draymond and Clay was under, and I heard the writings, or I seen the writings on the wall via what I've heard Kerr, Draymond, and Clay, and some other Warriors podcasts, say that Draymond and Clay both was not taking a pay cut and felt like that they both deserved the max. And I'm looking at the new CBA, and I was like, there's no way they can give Clay and Draymond the max. Number one, Clay, his body is failing him a little bit. He can't be a max player anymore. It'd be lovely to have him on the roster, but I need to be able to bench you if you're not playing well. And two things you really don't want to do is bench a max player, because if you got three max players in Steph, Clay, and Draymond, you damn sure ain't got a lot of talent on your bench because you're paying for Dre, Steph, and Draymond, Dre, Steph, and Clay. You're paying for them, so you're not going to be able to afford great talent. So you're going to have young guys, rookies, max, league minimum, vet minimum players. You're going to have that on your bench. And you can't look your owner in the eye and say, we convince you to get this dude to max, but he's not even good enough to start on my roster. So you're going to have to start someone that's playing bad. And then on the flip side of that, he's helped build that program. He's helped build that franchise, turn it into a multi-billion-dollar company. Helped give them 4 championships. Loved by the city. And it's very hard to tell that person you can't get this type of contract or you can't get this money. And it's hard to tell them on top of that, you're not going to get on the court. You just can't do it. So it was too many. Steve Kerr and Bob Myers respected that core 3 too much. They even respected them enough to run Kevin Durant out of there and run Jordan Poole out of there and run Wiseman out of there. Right? All of those was rebuild players that they couldn't keep because of Draymond. I get to that. But my point about Clay is that you really can't keep him on the roster because you're going to have to respect him as a guy who helped build the foundation of this franchise. You can't bench me based just on my name. Poole was outplaying him tremendously. It was obvious that you're supposed to keep Poole and trade Clay. It was obvious you were supposed to keep Wiseman and get rid of Draymond. It was obvious that you give the money to the younger Wiggins and the younger Gary Payton and the younger Otto Porter Jr. that helped them win that championship. And I mean, who else they got out there? The younger Kuminga was supposed to be getting minutes 2 years ago. He's behind. Like, this is the same thing that happened to Tracy McGrady with Toronto. He was getting overshadowed by his cousin Vince Carter, and they was treating him like street poontang. They wouldn't let him get in the game. He had to leave in free agency and go to Orlando and immediately establish himself as a top 5 player in the league. You mean to tell me Toronto had that playing a role that they got Kuminga playing right now with the Warriors? They had him daggone there playing power forward. Because Vince was the 2. Sometimes the 3. I mean, they didn't know what to do with T-Mac. Went to Orlando and Doc Rivers was like, man, by the first practice, I realized I thought I was getting a Scottie Pippen-like player. I realized I was getting a Michael Jordan type. That was a quote from Doc Rivers. So the Draymond Green and Klay Thompson have ruined the rebuild. I'm not gonna say so much Klay. I'm gonna say Draymond mostly because this was Bob Myers thinking. I think when Bob Myers finally got Kevin Durant, he gives them 2 rings in a row, and then in the 3rd year is a contract year for him. He don't know what he want to do, and Bob Myers wants to re-sign him. But that was also the year that Draymond Green said, "We don't need you." The reason why Draymond Green was so on edge is because it was his contract year as well, and his agent couldn't get any negotiation done with Golden State because Golden State is saying we waiting on KD. So that means if KD wants to stay here and we're giving him the max, we can't give Draymond the max. We got to give him what's left or let him walk. And we'll probably try to talk him into a signing trade, right? So they wanted KD. Draymond Green felt that and knew that, and he's never gotten a huge contract yet. So he's on edge. That's why he was so chippy and so easy to snap on Kevin Durant during that game. We ain't seen it the whole first 2 years, but he did it that game. He was on edge that season, and his back was against the wall, and he lashed out. Right? That's what he did. And that made Kevin Durant feel unwanted, especially when the aftermath of that was the coach, the front office, and the ownership and the star players act like nothing happened, and they was afraid to tell Draymond Green that he was messed up for what he did. What Golden State was supposed to do is be desperate to keep Kevin Durant so much that they were supposed to go to him and say, hey, Draymond Green is gone. Just tell us your price. We want to keep you. But they was trying to be greedy and say, we trying to keep both of y'all, when the real answer is, as soon as he cussed them out and said, we don't need you, Draymond had to go. So they valued the core three more than they valued the franchise or the player that could have been their franchise or a person that's a cornerstone in the NBA, a top 10, top 15 player of all time. Instead of valuing that guy, you valued Draymond, Clay, and Steph as a core. You let him walk, and you give Draymond a max contract. Then when they started drafting for the rebuild, because Steph got hurt, Clay got hurt, so Draymond was freshly on that max contract, and now he's out there by himself looking like trash. And then he goes down, and you get the number one pick. You get Wiseman. You draft Poole. You end up with D'Lo from the KD trade. Then you trade him for Wiggins. You go get GPT. So you start to rebuild this team up. And they were supposed to move forward and say, okay, after this max contract was up with Dre and Clay, we've already got Wiseman, a 7-foot athletic big. They got offensive ability and a good shooting touch, run the floor like a deer. We got Jordan Poole, who established himself as a great scorer and a great shooter, who could have easily replaced Clay, that was getting older, who can't give you anything no more. Then we got Wiggins, and we got Kuminga, and we got GP2. 5 guys they were supposed to rebuild with, and they could have paid all of them only if they let go of Draymond and Clay. What did Draymond do again in his contract year, like he did with with Kevin Durant in the contract year? Oh, Poole contract year, and it's my contract year, or mine is next year, whatever the case may be. And he knew if Poole got that money, like he heard that he was going to get, then that means him and Clay is not going to get it. So he came into training camp fresh off a championship, so pissed off and on edge at training camp. It ain't like they on a 10-game losing streak and he's frustrated. They fresh off of a championship, and you at training camp and you're so on edge that you knock Jordan Poole out. And you can't tell me that that's a coincidence. The guy who's about to get the money in, KD, is the one you lashed out at and called the B word and said, we don't need you, we won without you. And the guy who's about to get the money years later in Jordan Poole is the guy that you knocked out. There's no way you can tell me that's a coincidence. You were pissed off at them because they was getting your money. As an end result, what happened? They tried to play with Poole. They gave Poole that money. They played with him and realized the locker room was so jacked up. Poole, you got to go. We're trading you to the Wizards. And guess who got that max contract? Draymond Green got the max contract. You guessed it. And then Clay was the outside looking in. He couldn't get no money because Draymond got it. What was supposed to happen was Poole was supposed to get the money, and Draymond and Clay both were supposed to be gone. But they punched Poole out of there. Draymond got the money, and Clay's gone. And Draymond and Poole is gone. And the guy they brought in to replace Poole, CP3, he's gone. Like, he destroyed that whole thing. But anyway, I just wanted to give that backstory. Get to what he said about Steve Kerr, because he know he's probably out of there. He's probably going to get traded. So he's telling his truth. Benching Tatum was so dumb. I don't know why he benched him, but I did have a video where I said I think that because he showed up late to training camp, that might have been a little inside suspension that nobody was supposed to know about. Hey, you go sit this game because you showed up late. I think that's probably what it was. But if it wasn't that, it was just basically that this is a quiet guy, and if I want to jerk somebody with playing time, it's gonna be him because he ain't gonna say nothing. Booker would cause a fit. He tried to bench Edwards during the World Championships. Edwards was not having it. When he tried to have that talk to him, was like, "Hey, D Wade came off the bench," and Ant was like, "Who started? Kobe." Ant was like, "Man, what the hell Kobe at now? I don't see no Kobe out here. I ain't coming off the bench just because you saying D Wade came off. Don't mean I'm coming off the bench." So he tried it with Ant-Man. Ant-Man wasn't having it. Book wasn't having it. Those are the young bucks because he's looking at LeBron, KD, Steph. Those are the elders that he know I got to give them minutes. So those 3 spots, or secured. I can't jerk them on minutes, right? I'm playing Bam, AD, and Embiid interchangeably, right? We only got 3 5s or 3 guys that can play 5. Maybe KD, if they was desperate, can play, right? But as far as that wing position, you got White, you got Drew Holiday, you got Tatum, you got Edwards, you got Booker, you got Steph, you got Halliburton, and then of course LeBron wants to play point forward, and KD is basically on the perimeter most of the time. You it's crowded at the wing. So he was looking at, who can I jerk? Okay, I can jerk Halliburton because he's a young buck. You just happen to be here, right? I don't know why he decided to jerk Tatum over White. The 2 guys I would have jerked was White and Halliburton. But out of all the superstars, the most quiet one that he probably could get away with it with was Tatum. But why pick Tatum fresh off a championship? Fresh off a first team All NBA. Should have been in the MVP discussion. Right? Fresh out of all of that. Fresh off a new contract, like Draymond said, that was the richest contract in basketball history. All of this stuff. In the first game, you decided to bench him. So yeah, I think that was trash. Right? And I mean, and that's pretty much all I got to say about it.